morning, Michael. Have a great day. Good morning, Shania. Good morning, Journey. Happy Thursday. Oh, thank you. Good morning. How are you, Marcel? Good morning, walking to the behind. Good morning, Melvin. Good morning. Hi, Tori. I don't even know. No. That's right.
Zip, zip, fast, tall, ass, floor in the hall. Do it right.
My name is Cassie Pergament. I'm the principal of DC Prep Edgewood Middle School. My history with the school is that I came to DC Prep 7 years ago. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I attended schools in the district and was initially taught in California for 4 years in both Compton and Oakland, California, and wanted to move back home and find a school that I would be at for the rest of my career. And came to DC Prep as a 5th grade teacher. I taught English language arts in 5th grade for 5 years here, and this is now my 2nd year as the principal. The vision I have for DC Prep Edgewood Middle School and for all of my DC Prep students is that they will graduate as 8th graders. They will attend excellent high schools that will lead them on the path to college, that they will be both academically prepared and also prepared as citizens of our community in Washington, D.C. and citizens of the world, so that they will have developed the character skills so that they can be successful in high school, in college, and in any career that they desire. At DC Prep, the majority of our students are proficient or advanced in both reading and in math. We are the highest performing charter school in Washington, D.C. We are also the highest performing, we had the results that showed we're the highest performing middle school in all of D.C., other than one school, St. Coletta's, which took the alternative DC CAS assessment last year. Last year, our students majority of them were proficient or advanced in math and in reading, and we're really proud of our results and excited to build on them. Our goal is to have 100% of our students by the 8th grade be proficient or advanced in reading and in math. I do believe that I am personally accountable and responsible for the success of all of our DC Preppies. We have about 280 4th through 8th graders, and the parents of our preppies trust me and my staff with the most important and most valuable thing that we could possibly be trusted with, the education of their children. And I do not take any of that for granted, and I take it really seriously, and everyone on my staff does. We work tirelessly to ensure that we uphold every single one of our commitments to them, and that we hold their kids to really high expectations. We treat them with the utmost respect. We treat them as partners in their learning, and our campus is a place that is filled with love and joy around learning, and our educators and our teachers are passionate about kids excelling at really high levels. We have really high academic expectations for all of our DC Prep students. We believe that each and every one of them can achieve at extraordinarily high levels. We put every measure we can think of in place to ensure that none of our students fall through the cracks. We are unapologetic about being all about their academic education. While we have a strong push for a dual program in terms of character and academics, we focus a lot on academic preparation. Our students, if they are struggling in their academic areas, receive intervention. And so all of our students attend a class that we call prep session. They have 2 prep session classes a day. Each one is 45 minutes long. So in addition to having 90 minutes of reading, 45 minutes of writing, 90 or 60 minutes of math every day, they also have an additional 45 minutes a day of reading and writing intervention and 45 minutes a day of math intervention in small groups with one of our excellent teachers. So we do whatever it takes to make sure that all of our kids can achieve at those high levels. At DC Prep, we really believe that hard work makes the biggest difference in academic achievement. Our school motto is for students to do the right thing, which stands for respectful, intelligent, genuine, hardworking, and team-oriented. And hardworking is a huge part of that. We teach our kids that if you work hard, you can achieve your goals, and that we believe in you, and that we're going to hold you to high expectations to make sure that you can achieve those goals. When we think about how important hard work is for our preppies, we do lots of different things to promote this, and we are constantly giving them the message that they can do anything that they put their minds to. At DC Prep, we have a lot of different systems that we use to help parents and students stay in great communication with their teachers around academic and behavior progress. So one of the main tools that we use is something that we call the prep note. The prep note you probably saw in the video is a yellow slip of paper that every student carries around with them, and it goes home every night. On the prep note, students are not only learning how to take responsibility for their materials, but they're also setting goals for themselves and keeping track of their progress towards those goals. Parents have the opportunity to write back to teachers, and it's been a great communication tool for us with parents. In addition, all of our students carry around agenda books. We teach them the organizational skill of keeping track of their weekly and monthly calendar, and it's a space where they write down their homework assignments, their projects, and their tests. Every Friday, our students take home one of 2 documents. They take home either something we call a biweekly statement, which is just it's almost like a mini report card, and it gives parents and students an idea of where their grades are every other week. And that goes home on Fridays, and parents know to look for that. Parents also know to look on the other Fridays for something that we call a bank statement. Because our students are earning DC Prep dollars, which is a fake money system where kids earn dollars and then they can use to purchase great things at our school and earn great incentives at our school. It shows how many dollars that they've earned that week. It shows all different things around their character, their homework percentage, their punctuality percentage, their on-task percentage, a lot of different great information that parents really use to help them continue to reinforce our expectations at home. In addition, we have parent-teacher conferences every quarter. We do those during the day, and we try to accommodate parents' work schedule. And we've been really fortunate to have great participation with parents at those meetings. We also have a wonderful data system at the school where we are able to quickly and easily pull up data on children and their performance in a variety of areas so that any adult in the building can communicate with a parent. What is the kid's reading level? How far have they moved? How are they doing with their homework? All of these great questions that parents want to know about, our teachers are able to access and give them as quickly as possible. At DC Prep, we have a lot of behavioral expectations for our students that are all intended in creating a safe and orderly learning environment for our preppies. Our kids' safety is paramount, and To us, safety entails making sure that they are in a comfortable and confident space to focus on their academic learning. So that means that we have a lot of structures in place for kids to be focused on learning. We have a lot of structures in place to help kids maintain the appropriate behavior. So our students walk in silent lines in the hallways during transitions, because we know that if we can make things like a hallway transition be calm and orderly and quiet, it's not going to carry over into class time and create a disruptive learning environment in the afternoon. We have things in place like teaching the kids to prep up, where they learn to sit like this in class so that they can be really focused on learning and not distracted by their peers. So those are just 2 examples, but we have many, and we hope that you got to see some of them in the video today. At DC Prep, we have a lot of different systems for enforcing our rules and expectations for all of our students. We really believe in consistency and communication. And so we have a very clear code of character that we use with our students and with our families, and we spend a lot of time making sure that families really understand what our rules and policies are in advance of choosing to send their child here. And we really spend time making sure that they understand the rationale, that these rules and policies are there for a reason, and it's to help everyone focus on the number one thing, which is learning, and that every minute of instruction counts, and that we're not willing to waste that with behavior that will impede our kids from getting the most out of their education. So we have a lot of different ways that we help our students and families to meet those expectations and to enforce our rules. One is that we have a dean of students, and he works really closely with the families to ensure that our rules are being met and upheld. We have our prep note, which was the yellow piece of paper that students carry around with them. And it is a way of communicating daily behavioral progress towards behavioral goals. We explicitly teach character education, and I think that's really important because it's one of the things that really sets us apart as a school. We spend a lot of time not only deciding which character skills are important for our kids to know and be able to do in order to be successful in high school and college and in the careers of their choice, but we spend a lot of time teaching to those character skills. So our teachers will teach kids, what does it mean to work appropriately with others before you start the science lab? What does it mean to disagree appropriately with your teacher? And what does that look like in a professional setting? What does it mean to be on task? And what does that look like? And how do you know if you're doing it? And how do you know if you're not? And what do you do if you are struggling to be on task? So we spend a lot of time on explicitly teaching, reinforcing, and holding kids accountable to our character education. We also have a lot of fun while we do it. So we teach our kids chants and songs about what it means to do the right thing, which is our motto: respectful, intelligent, genuine, hardworking, team-oriented. So we do things like community meeting, which is a space where our entire school, all 290 students, get together on Fridays, and we celebrate and congratulate all of our successes. And we reward the homeroom that has the highest homework percentage, and the students who have maintain great behavior throughout the week, and our preppies of the month, which are our students who really are the most outstanding students in the community. So we try to make it about consistency with upholding rules, but also really about joy. At DC Prep, we have a lot of different ways that we reward positive behavior with our students. As you've learned about at DC Prep, our students carry around a yellow prep note, and it's one of our main tools of communication with parents and about behavior skills. And so students are constantly setting goals for themselves. Each of the behaviors that they record on their prep note correlates with what we call a DC Prep dollar. It's not real money, but to our kids, it is almost like real money. So they are accumulating DC Prep dollars in their bank accounts. And their bank accounts are updated twice a day with the money that they have earned. They can do all sorts of things with this that are directly correlated to their great behavior. So we might do things like have a school store where they can purchase things with that money. We also use it as an opportunity to build relationships between our staff and our students. So we have staff members who offer different incentives and the kids bid on them using their dollars. So we have a teacher who might say, you can bid to make guacamole with me after school, and we're gonna listen to Latino music and make guacamole and eat together. And the kids actually offer to pay money to do these kinds of bid incentives. We also have different incentives where we'll say, you can bid to buy popcorn for $250 today at lunch, or you can go on this terrific roller skating trip if you have great behavior. Our roller skating trip is something we do a couple of times a year, and it's for students who have great attendance, great punctuality, great behavior, and we want to just have fun together and reward them for that. We also do a lot of daily and weekly things, and monthly. So we have our Preppies of the Month, which are our students that are our most outstanding students. They earn a t-shirt that they get to wear, which is very exciting since we are a uniform school at DC Prep. They also get their name posted on a bulletin board for the whole month, and they get recognized and congratulated at our community meeting in front of the whole student body. We have something that we call the Golden Clock, which is a golden clock that the homeroom that has the highest punctuality and attendance gets to keep in their homeroom as a symbol of their great hard work. We have the Brawny Brain, which is a physical object that looks like a brain, and the homeroom that has the highest homework percentage earns that. We have morning announcements where we congratulate students on their great achievements. We have individual rewards for kids all the time, and so we're constantly trying to think about how do we incentivize and reward kids who are meeting our expectations of being great citizens and doing the right thing. I believe that I am, along with my really terrific team, responsible for the professional development of the teachers at DC Prep. We are a really collaborative learning community. We have, as one of our values, reflection and refinement every day. And so at DC Prep, we're constantly learning about how to be better teachers, how to create a better school, how to be better for our families, how to be better for our students. It is never enough, and we're never satisfied, ever. So we're always trying to make our school better because our kids deserve it. They deserve the absolute best. And professional development for us is really important. Our teachers have professional development every Friday from 3 to 5 p.m. So on Fridays we dismiss at 3 so that our teachers can keep learning. And we tell teachers when we hire them, be excited because this is one of the best parts of the week, in addition to being with our wonderful children, because it's our opportunity to collaborate and learn from one another. Our teachers are also engaged in department professional development. So our teachers are either in the English Language Arts department if they teach reading and writing, they're in the mathematics department if they teach math, the specials department if they teach art or African drumming or physical education or Spanish, the social studies and science department, and each of those departments meets every week and has a department chair who plans for the professional development of that team. We also have grade level teams that meet weekly, where is another opportunity for our teachers to receive professional development and grow. Our grade level teams meet to discuss students and how to support them and how to work with families and how to create initiatives that are going to engage our families and our kids even better in their grade level. And additionally, if you are new to DC Prep, even though we get the best teachers in the world, they may have been teaching for 10 years in another district or at another school. If they're new to DC Prep, they are going to have an instructional coach that year. And so they have an intensive coaching relationship where someone meets with them weekly, is in their classroom quite regularly. And one of the things that is most exciting in terms of our professional development at DC Prep is that every teacher is observed weekly and receives in-person and written feedback about their progress and goals. So I, as the principal, am in classrooms about 50% of my week. I spend a ton of time in classrooms talking with teachers about their instruction, about their curriculum, about their students. And same with everyone on my team, my assistant principals, my instructional coaches, my department chairs. We spend a ton of time trying to help teachers grow, and it's really important to us at DC Prep. At DC Prep, if we have a teacher vacancy, we are extraordinarily lucky to be a part of a charter management organization. Our whole organization is called DC Prep. So at Edgewood Middle School, the campus where I'm the principal, if I have a vacancy, I get to really lean on my charter management organization. Over at the Charter Management Organization, we have our talent team, and our talent team consists of a chief talent officer, several recruiters who work really tirelessly throughout the year to ensure that we have a strong pool of candidates at all times. We get terrific resumes. We get a tremendous amount of resumes. We're really lucky because we have such great results and so many people want to work at DC Prep. And as a result, if I have a vacancy, I have a team of people that I can rely on to help us fill it as quickly as possible. At DC Prep, we evaluate our teachers and hold them accountable to their growth in a number of ways. For one, we have a very selective interview process. So we are fortunate that we get terrific resumes, and we have a wonderful talent team that we work with through our charter management organization, DC Prep overall. And they help us to recruit really terrific and outstanding teachers. And we spend a lot of time interviewing them and making sure that they are philosophically a perfect fit with our school. Because at a charter school, your mission and your culture is so important, and we want to make sure that every adult who works here really believes in what we're doing and wants to be a part of that team. Once they get here, they have coaching, and so they have someone who meets with them, one of our coaches who is usually one of our department chairs or an instructional coach, and this person meets with that new teacher to DC Prep no matter how many years they've already been teaching, and they lesson plan together, they talk about upcoming events, they talk about feedback to their classroom, and the coach is in their classroom once a week, either modeling a lesson, co-teaching with them, observing and giving them feedback, working with a small group, helping them with a student that they're struggling with, giving them ideas and suggestions. We hold them accountable also through our observations. We see them as less evaluative and more as coaching and support for our teachers. So every teacher in our building is observed weekly by either myself, one of my assistant principals, or one of our department chairs or instructional coaches. And in those observations, we are meeting with the teacher within 24 hours to have a face-to-face conversation and give them feedback on their lesson and the execution of their teaching. We're also then giving them written feedback using a rubric that we've developed. The rubric for us is like it gives a grading from needs improvement to proficient to exemplary of their teaching practices. So everything from how are they executing the culture in their classroom and building relationships with our students to how are they modeling what kids need to learn and how are they assessing if kids learned it or not. And so that's been a really great tool over time, because if you're a teacher and you're 3 months into the school year, you probably have about 15 pieces of written feedback about your own progress. In December, we conduct mid-year evaluations of all of our staff members. Those are a compilation of all of the observations and feedback that each adult has gotten throughout the first 4 months of the school year. And each staff member is meeting with me individually in December, and we're reviewing the results of the really comprehensive evaluation. We also use something called a 360 tool. We call it 360 because it's kind of a 360-degree look at our staff. Every other staff person completes anonymous feedback for that staff member. And we also sometimes incorporate parent feedback, supervisor feedback for sure, and it allows us to give a really clear look at how the staff member is performing. We believe at DC Prep very deeply in the strong relationship between parents and our school. We know that we cannot achieve such significant results with our students without our parents being tremendous partners with us in this important work. And we do a lot to make sure and to create systems and to create relationships with our parent community. As a parent member of DC Prep, you would sign a parent promise. And this promise just says that you're going to uphold the expectations and communicate continuously with us and be a partner with us in the work of supporting your child. Parents additionally have a lot of responsibility. It's hard to be a DC Prep parent, but it's very, very worthwhile. Our parent community is very tight-knit, very loving, and work really closely with our staff and with our school. So part of their commitment is reviewing homework every night. And our kids get a lot of homework every night because we know that homework teaches kids the important habits that they're going to need in the exceptional high schools and colleges that they are going to attend. They have to sign our yellow prep note every night, which is an account of the child's behavior. And we want parents to know exactly what the behavior looked like during the day so that they can enforce it at home and we can be on the same page. We have ongoing and regular parent events that have been a huge success at DC Prep. In the fall, we have a family bingo night, which is just an opportunity for family to come and engage with staff and each other and win really cool prizes. We have different performances throughout the year. We're getting ready to celebrate our night of celebration where our African drummers will be performing, our dance team will be performing, our art students will have their artwork displayed, and it's a potluck and all of the families come out to celebrate. We have an award ceremony that we do where we celebrate all of the hard work of our students. We have a terrific and amazing parent association and parent action team. Just by virtue of being a DC Prep parent, you are a member of our parent association, and our parent action team is the small parent body that drives all of their work. They are really engaged with the school, and their goal is to increase parent involvement at DC Prep. That is their main purpose. So overall, we do a lot of things to engage parents. We are constantly going back to the drawing board, and we really believe it is an important partnership. I am available to talk with DC Prep parents very readily. All of our staff, all of our teachers give out our cell phone numbers and our email addresses to every single parent. Our teachers, including myself, we are all on call for parents to call us up until 8 p.m. every night of the week. And for students, and students regularly use that for homework questions. So I'm available, until 8 p.m. every night by phone. In addition, I always make time for parents. So easily they can email me to set up a time to meet. They can stop by and see if I'm available, but it's really important to me that I'm very accessible. I really want to know about issues large and small as a principal. It's important to me that I work closely with our parent community. We have a terrific front desk staff who also is very informed and helpful in working with our parents and families, and is constantly letting me know if there's parents that I need to be in touch with. And I really just try to make myself as accessible as possible.
Welcome to DC Prep. My name is Savannah Hamilton. This is the Stanford homeroom, and we are reviewing for our math test on Friday.
Okay, so it's a good idea from now on in your career to love tests, because your future is going to be full of them. You're going to have tests in college and high school once you need to test into your career. And they're sort of like showering. Whether you like them or not, they have to be a part of your life. And I like to think of tests as a chance to show off what I know, and it's also a chance to win. So I want you to write down in your bubble, how are you going to use your notes tonight to prepare for our test on Friday? And who are you going to study with? Right? All right, using energy and excitement, please tell your neighbor who you're going to study with, what your plan is, and make a promise to them that you are going to prepare yourself for tomorrow. Go ahead.
I'm going to study. I'm going to study and then I'm going to test myself with my sister.
Okay, I'm going to ask my mom. Mom, can you help me? And then I'm going to give her the little notes that I had, and then I'm going to get some blank sheet of paper, and then I'm going, like the question that she had, I'm going to solve the question on a blank sheet of paper.
All right, so clap twice if you said you're going to study with a parent. 1, 2. Stomp twice if you said that you are going to show someone your notes. 1, 2. All right, awesome. So we have lots of different strategies, and now what we need to do is review for ourselves. 7th grade, hit it. What am I about to do?
Teach us something new. Students will be able to compute unit rates.
Awesome. So, the key points, can I have somebody read them in a loud, proud voice before we solve? Kamari Ward.
Number 1, unit rates have a denominator of 1.
Great. Number 2, Kamari.
Use cross multiplication, find a rule, or set up a proportion to determine the unit rate.
Awesome. So these are perfect things for you to go back to and look at tonight. I want to know how much is 1/5 of an hour. What's something that I could do to solve this problem? Yes.
You can cross multiply, but 5 will be your denominator.
Okay. And where am I going to put my 5?
Wait. Yeah, 5 will be your denominator for the other side. 5 equals 60x, I think.
You know what? I think there's several ways that we can solve this, and I'm going to give you guys a chance to talk to one another. 3/5 of an hour is how many minutes? 2 brains are better than 1.
I'm going to show you what I've done. We all think different, but we all get it done.
I agree with Daisha on the 5x, but I think it's going to be 180 because 60 times 3 is 180. Then I think you got to divide by 5.
36 is not even, it's more than half of 60. So that means if you multiply 36 times 2, it would be more than an hour, so you can't read 2 books. That means you can't read 1 whole page.
So I am super duper impressed, put your eyes on me, with the level, Kobe, of conversation that I'm seeing. I saw Kobe turn around, I saw everybody talking to each other and explaining their thinking to one another, which is amazing. And that is one of the best things that you can do when you're studying, is get yourself a little bit confused with a problem and then talk it out with each other. So I am going to stop us here, and y'all are going to figure this problem out. If anybody shows me the work and the correct answer to this problem tomorrow before the test, I will automatically give you an extra point on your test. So write down a note, extra credit if I present my solution to Miss Kim. All right, so y'all have spent now 3 days working on your identity poem, and now it's time for you to share with each other. Okay. Maybe my religion is a bigger deal to me than it is to Aurier, and that's completely fine. And it's actually really interesting. It is so interesting to form a relationship with someone who is really different from you. So the whole purpose of this is for us to practice before we learn about stereotypes, about our huge campaign that winners don't hate.
All right, we ready? Yes?
about 10 minutes.
No word.
You can try to Okay, keep working. I like this design though. So, but this is what I would focus on, alright?
Put that boy in that part. And then just do the shine. Oh, I'm almost done.
My name is Hollis Highland, and I teach 6th grade reading and writing at DC Prep. I have 9 years of experience teaching middle school English, and this is my 2nd year at DC Prep. One of the things that I think makes DC Prep really unique is that we give so much time to targeting individual students and exactly what they need. Apart from the core academic classes that kids have with their cohort, they also have what we call prep sessions. And a prep session is a small group of targeted instruction that teachers are providing. So for 45 minutes a day, students have targeted reading instruction, and for 45 minutes a day they have targeted math instruction. And that really helps kids if they need more support getting to grade level. It's going to help get them to grade level, and if they are already at grade level and need to be pushed, then it allows them to work with a small group of students who are on their level with an instructor who's really helping meet their specific needs. We have a lot of other things like that too. I feel like we have prep hour, which is 1 hour after school for kids who need more support on their homework, and it's usually a group of anywhere between 5 to 15 students who are with a teacher for an hour, getting more help if they need it. And I just feel like there are a lot of supports like that for the kids, which is really nice. And I think other than that, we just have a really nice, strong community. Kids have advisory in the morning for 45 minutes. I know for me, I have an advisory that then is my reading and writing class. We spend a lot of time together. We do a lot of activities as an advisory, and I think that makes it a really nice and warm community. And then we also have celebrations of community. So once a month we have community meeting, the whole school comes together. We do a lot of celebrating of our successes. And so I think the kids feel they're getting the help that they need, but then I think they also feel that they're part of a nice, warm environment, which I think makes them more excited to come to school every day, which is nice. I think that DC Prep really supports teachers to become better in lots of ways. For me, the biggest one is the amount of observation and feedback that I receive. I have a lot of people who are in my classroom a lot. My principal is there, the heads of my department are there. In years that I've had a coach, all new teachers have a coach for their entire year. Then my coach is in there once a week. And so I have a lot of people who are watching me during all parts of my lesson and really making sure that my instruction is most effective and that I'm improving to really help the students improve. And there are times when I'm even getting feedback that I can implement the next day to make my lessons a lot better. And so that's something that's been really, really good and beneficial for me. Beyond that, I think that there's just a lot of components to professional development here. We have department meetings once a week. We meet with our grade level teams once a week, and it gives us time to really talk about students who need a little bit more from us, to plan incentives for the kids, and I think that meeting time is something that we use really, really effectively here. On Fridays, we have 2 hours of meetings every single week with a really, really thoughtful and strategically planned professional development calendar that kind of looks at it does two things. I feel like it's planned out for the beginning of the year for all of the things that we're going to need throughout the year, but then the administration is also reflecting on it and making sure that if there's something we're seeing that we need to do, that we're doing that and we're getting better at that. And then I think in similar ways to the positive community we try to build for the kids, I think the administration builds that for us as adults, and I think that kind of helps trickle down to the kids and create a really positive working environment for us, which I think is really, really nice too. So I engage with the families of my students in a lot of ways. One of the things that's really nice is that as a teacher here, I have an advisory and a reading and a writing class that is all the same cohort of kids. So I feel like that gives me a really great opportunity to really get to know those families and work with them a lot. So I feel like we're in constant communication, which is a really nice thing. It starts off with, I gather contact information at the beginning of the year. I set up an email listserv, and I'm emailing families anywhere between, once every other week to some weeks it's a few times a week about tests that are coming up, about papers that, might be coming home that need to get signed or that I want families to look at, to let them know about events that are happening at the school, and just anything that comes up that's going on in our class that they need to know about. And that's been something that's really effective, and it's a good way to get a lot of information out. And I think that families have told me this year in particular that that's been really, really helpful for them because they feel like they're on top of it and they know what to expect and they know what's coming home in the backpack before it gets there, so they can know to ask for it, which things get lost in middle school backpacks sometimes, so that's a really good thing. Beyond that, I feel like we're in communication a lot about everything academic and behavioral, things that we need to work on and things that the students are doing really well and succeeding with, which is really nice. We try to be really good about asking families, would you prefer email? Would you prefer your cell phone called? Would you prefer a text message? And really get to know what's the best way to communicate with families, because there's a lot going on, people have different work schedules, and so I think we try to be really supportive of that and know that families really want to know what's going on and get them that information in the way that's best for them. Beyond that, we have lots of events at the school, and we try to invite families in if there's an academic celebration or for family math and reading night, for bingo night, for a night of celebration where we have kids showcasing some of their academic work, some of African drumming is playing, we have kids singing and performing, and so we try to have families in for designated events, but also just keep an open door policy. I have families who come in because they want to know what's going on, or they think that, their student needs to be improving in some way, and they're welcome to come and sit in classes whenever they want to, which I think is really nice too. And then I think teachers here are just really good about being responsive. So if a family needs something, if they call, we will get back to you, and I think that that's really helpful. Our cell phones are on and we're available until 8 p.m. every night, which is really nice. I get a lot of emails from families throughout the day, and it's just nice to be able to really work together. I feel like at DC Prep, more than other schools I've worked at even, it's really a good partnership, and I really feel like we're working together, and I feel like the kids know that, and it just really helps them be more successful and feel like their teachers and their families are on the same page. So, yeah, it's good.
So my name is Cara Piccirilli. I teach at DC Prep, Edgewood Middle Campus, and I teach 6th grade math. I also lead a homeroom, and I teach 2 intervention math classes as well. So I'm in my 4th year teaching with my own classroom, and then I'm in my 2nd year at DC Prep. Some of the characteristics of the school that make it unique are some of the reasons why I came to DC Prep. For example, a characteristic of DC Prep is its culture, and its culture really is founded in personal responsibility of the students, and it's very attractive because it's really getting the students ready for selected high schools as well as college, because we really expect that the students come with the mentality that they're responsible for their thoughts, their deeds, and everything that essentially we ask them to take on as excellent scholars. And so whether that's, having your belt that day, having your chapter book that you're responsible for constantly having with you, having your homework, writing down your homework even at the beginning of the day, it's the small things, and the small things really matter here. And those small things become what we call habits of mind. And those habits of mind will be with the kids forever. If you do anything as a young person over and over again that are, responsibilities that you have, then you tend to carry those responsibilities into your later life, and that's exactly what we want from our high school and college students, is to have really the organization, the abilities to take care of themselves and to advocate for themselves in their everyday life. Our school leadership supports us in being teachers. Well, one of the ways that they do is by backward planning for us as teachers, much in the same way that we backward plan for our students. For example, our administrators are always thinking months in advance, and the things that they're thinking about is how are our teachers going to implement the next or even the next unit for our students at every grade level that we have here at DC Prep. How are they going to make sure that their assessments are rigorous enough? How do we help them through professional development to know what does the rigor of a question look like, or how to implement a certain lesson in such a way that it really engages all students and really makes sure that the students are doing the heavy lifting themselves, and that the teachers are planning for that heavy lifting being done by students. So just as they're planning forward for us, we plan for our students, and so there's kind of a parallel process in that. We plan, units and assessments for our kids, and we're constantly thinking forward, where do we need the student to be, this week and the next week and the next month, and our administrators are essentially doing the same for us as the adults and as the teachers in the building, and it's extremely helpful because it makes sure that we're moving forward, looking forward, and really not just seeing where we are today, but how do we reach those kind of North Stars, those goals that we want our kids to reach, but that we want to reach professionally as well. We engage with the families of our students in various ways. We tend to make a lot of phone calls. We even text and email with families according to their needs and what communication methods are best for them. We tend to engage on the whole student, which is what I really also love about this school. It's an important characteristic of this school is we don't just talk about the students as scholars, we talk about them as people. For example, today even I have a meeting with a parent at 5 o'clock today. They're coming from work, we're coming from the end of our day, and we're going to talk about how to support this person's child moving forward, knowing that there are some social emotional issues, but also academic issues that are kind of a result of having trouble just kind of even showing up for their everyday classes. And whenever we see changes in kids, whenever we notice that something's a little off, we really make sure that the parent is notified and on board with us, so that we can create kind of almost like a little sanctuary together around the child and make sure that the student feels supported by all the adults in their life, and we come together as a community around the child and say, how can we as family, as school, really kind of hold you in what you're experiencing right now. Because I teach 6th grade. 6th grade is a very rough year developmentally, and kids really do need that kind of support from family and teachers, just to know they're all right, that all the changes that are going on in their life as new middle school, these new level of middle school student is, that we're there for them, really. And so we keep in very constant and close communication with our families to make sure that those students find success moving forward.
Homework. Good afternoon, Kendi. Good afternoon, Destiny.
Good afternoon, Miss
It's okay, honey. It's cool. Good afternoon, Ms. Leah.
Remember that our volume is between a 1 and a 2, small group voice. When we're talking, if it gets too loud, we'll turn the lights back off. You guys can go ahead and move. We'll turn the lights back off and we will reset. Make sure we don't have to reset. All right, lights are on.
Burley Sanders. You said Burley Sanders? Barry Sanders? Barry Sanders. I feel it's a high quality school because you don't have to go in any specific place to know that you're being loved by your teachers and you're being supported all day long. My favorite thing would have to be African drumming. We have the specials class, and our teacher is actually a professional African drummer. And he teaches people other than us, and it's very fun. And we incorporate African drumming sometimes with other genres. So it's really fun to do go-go music with African music. The least favorite thing about DC Prep would have to be school lunch. Yeah.
A couple of quick reminders today. One, you must be doing an activity. So you're either doing foursquare, jump rope, hula hooping, hopscotch, there might be relay races, and then knockout.
Oh, it's only 3 more people, come on, make a push!
Sorry, Denise, for that.
Hats are off as soon as we get inside. Getting ready for a great afternoon math class.
My name is Lisa Dixon. I currently have 2 children attending DC Preparatory Academy, one in 3rd grade and one in 6th grade, and I also have one who has graduated. I feel that this is a high quality school because we've been here for 9 years. We liked what DC Preparatory had to offer. We really liked the academics. We love the teachers. We love the discipline and the structure that they have in place. And ever since then, we have just been big fans of DC Prep. So yeah, we totally think it's a high quality school. Teachers are awesome. They have great communication with the students. They work well with them. They encourage them to be successful. They push them to be better than they really are, and they just make them so motivated. And my children come home happy every evening coming home from school. So we totally think this is a great school, very high quality. Yes. We decided to enroll in the school because we have been here for 9 years, and as soon as they opened the elementary campus on Edgewood, we were so gracious to have our other 2 younger daughters to attend. So we basically were waiting for that elementary school to open so we can do that, and so we're really excited that we've been here for the length of time that we've been here. We are engaged as a parent in DC Prep in our PAT, which is our Parent Action Team, and we have lots of events that go through the whole year, like the bingo in the middle school and the book fair. And in our elementary school, we have like our Father's Figures Dinner, where the fathers attend a dinner with their children. Or actually it's by themselves, and they hear a speaker, a motivational speaker, and we do one for the mothers as well. And in both schools we do Teacher Appreciation Week or Staff Appreciation Week. So parents are totally involved in every aspect of the school environment, both, and I'm pretty sure in all 3 of the school campuses. Very engaged. It's just, they're very supportive of everything that DC Prep does.
My name is Tasharia Outlaw, and I have 2 children who attend this school. Maya is in the 8th grade, and Shane is in the 6th grade. I definitely feel that this is a high quality school because when I went to middle school, which actually started in the 6th grade in Newington, Connecticut, I was learning what my daughter was learning in the 4th grade, her first year at this school. So that was a huge deal for me to see that she was learning exactly the same things in the 4th grade that I was learning in the 6th grade. I decided to apply and enroll in DC Prep when I was coming out of Safeway, and the founder, Emily Lawson, was waiting outside and talking to people as they came out, and she had a desk with one of her students, and she started talking about the school. And so my husband and I came and checked it out. First we toured the middle school, and were very impressed, especially when we saw one of the teachers kneeling down at the desk in front of the student, directly, one-on-one, face-to-face teaching him. And then we toured the elementary school, which was brand new that year, and we loved it. The school engages me as a parent constantly. I am always getting phone calls and making phone calls to and from the teacher about special assignments, also whether someone has to serve a consequence for something, and as well as I'm on the PAT, which is the Parent Action Team. So I'm constantly here at the school preparing for certain events coming up, like the book sale, what have you. So I'm constantly here anyway.
Good afternoon. See you tomorrow. Bye, Sasha. Bye, Amanda. Have a great afternoon. See you tomorrow.
We feel good.
You know you are my favorite people. Come on, man. We are moving.